Hi everyone, I'm Chris Wilson from Find Monsters and here to talk to you about the new game that we're putting together. So it's about mobile games, and everyone plays mobile games all the time. I look around my house and everyone's playing mobile games, but they're all playing different games. And there's a sort of an atomization of the family that no one's actually doing anything together. Part of the reason for that is you can't find games that you play together as a family. There's always someone winning and gloating and someone losing and crying. So it doesn't really work. Mobiles don't really work at the moment for family games together. That's why we designed Find Monsters. It's an augmented reality game. So you tell us where you want to play, and we populate that space with monsters and strange creatures and obstacles and puzzles, things that you have to do together as a family in order to get through. So it's play together, win together. And the other side of that is when one person dies, you all die. So it's all about working together as a family. You decide where you want to play. So that can be in your garden, in the park. You can play it inside if you want, but the whole point of this game is really to get people outside and moving. It's not sitting there twiddling your thumbs. It's designed for iOS and Android. And our target market is primarily families with kids aged 7 to 14. And also we've had some interest from the early adopters as students as well. It costs £10 to play after you've played for the free level. So we're also going to make money out of customization. So when you're looking at the game, everything in there is a digital object. So you can turn your dad into a banana for 99p. We're also going to, so what we've done is around the game is this digital perimeter, which we're going to turn into a billboard so that companies can advertise there, offering hints for the games or whatever kind of advertising they want to do. And it wouldn't be a pitch for today if it didn't mention the metaverse. Obviously, being an augmented reality game, we're metaverse ready. So these large companies that are creating their metaverses will need content. So we'll be happy to license that to them. Our market is global. So we've identified 10 territories which we're going to be launching in first of all. These are the most profitable, and they have a combined population of dependent 210 million families with dependent children. And from our research, every single one of them looking to do things with their children. What are you going to do with the kids? That's where we come in. Our competition isn't mobile games so much as it's the things where families are together. So board games, £300 million market in the UK. We've also got bowling as another one of these family together times. Well, I don't remember bowling being that much fun when I did it. Also, the average family goes to the cinema 5 times a year, £50 for the ticket and the popcorn. So we're pricing ourselves very competitively with these sorts of things. And one of the most popular things for families to do is to visit museums. Now, I don't know, my family never enjoyed it. We were always with the kid in the stripy blue shirt, but at least they're free. So how are we going to deal with the risk? So the number one risk for us is that the game won't be any good. So by doing this episodic format, we design and build each episode separately so we can test it and make sure that it's actually working, that families want that before we release it. So how much money do we need? To actually get this thing launched, we're going to need to build another 3 episodes. Excuse me. And the total cost of that using PR as our marketing tool, £125,000. What does that get you? So the key figures for us are we'll break even sometime in year 2. And if we get 225,000 quarterly active users across the whole world by the end of year 3, our numbers will look pretty healthy. The team, Dundee is pretty much a hotspot for game development at the moment. So we've got Dylan Black from Dundee, who's an AR expert. We've got Guadeloupe's finest 3D artist and animator, Ty. We're all equity partners. I got a BAFTA nomination for a TV series I created and produced. I've experience in digital content, so I'm the founder and project manager. And the last thing to say is the only thing about this is the game any good? You can find out, book a demo, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks so much. If you could, well done within the time as well. Right, I'm going to invite the panelists up now. So if the panelists can click on the blue button, and I'll get you up onto the screen. I can see Sam there. So all that Sam, but Magda, Colin, Tom, those of you who are there and the tech is working, please let's get you up on screen, and then we can start quizzing Chris.
Hi, Chris. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. You crack on, and I'll keep an eye on other panelists.
And we'll do. I can always crack on.
Yes.
Well done. Great pitch. I mean, interesting concept. I mean, it's like you said, you can't not mention the metaverse at the moment in terms of interactive content. What it will end up looking like, who knows? But we've got to be ready for it. I mean, technically, it looks like an interesting concept and an interesting game anyway. I wondered how the interaction between devices in that AR space works. So you talked about the idea that it's anywhere. So so unlike say VR, where you're setting physical boundaries, you can go out and do that. How does it work? I'm going to get quite layman about this. Are you finding the same monsters? Are you how does it interact with each other?
Okay, so we're licensing the technology from Niantic, the people behind Pokemon Go, and they've developed a really fancy system which allows you to play multiplayer in real time. So what you're seeing is the same as everyone else is seeing. So it's real-time synchronous play is the technical term. So yeah, if you were doing this without the Niantic technology, it would be really difficult, but they've done some good stuff with it.
I suppose I only have really one or two questions about more the business model side. I mean, there was some market research in there about the potential audiences, but also the similar lifestyle choices of families to alleviate boredom. I suppose the thing I didn't see in there was maybe the willingness for expenditure in this particular area for families. So there was, you mentioned cinema, you mentioned museums, you mentioned other things, but this idea of, £10 for a license, what's your research around kind of the willingness to spend that in this particular area?
So our target market is mums, and mums are now the biggest spenders on mobile games by quite some distance. So our research is they're pretty keen on it. And for £10, so we've done surveys, and actually it's the first time I've ever had 100% of people said, yes, we would like to try that game. People are pretty keen to find things to do with their kids that are low cost, so that get them off the sofa, basically. So,
thank you. Should we move on to Sam? A particular question from you, Sam, from FounderCatalyst.
Thanks, Dan. Well done, Chris. It's really hard to compress any pitch into 5 minutes. I think you did a really good job. And this is a product that resonates with me. I've got a 13-year-old son who, it's hard to motivate to get off the sofa. So brilliant. One thing I thought missing from the end of the pitch was details of kind of your fundraise. So what is the ask and what you're going to do with it? Could you bring that to life, maybe?
Okay, so it's £25,000 to produce each episode. Okay. So we want to release initially 4 episodes, plus we're going to do the marketing through PR. So we're looking for SEIS funding to do that first 125,000 to get us launched. Then it should be more or less self-funding from sales. As I said, we might need to come back and get some more money to juice the marketing, but for the moment we can launch with 125,000.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Magda, hi, welcome. Magda from Keen Recruit. Any sort of question from you at this or comments before we move on?
Hi, Chris. Great pitch, thank you. And like Sam mentioned, I can mirror this. It was obviously quite hard to put everything in a five minutes. So yeah, in terms of obviously market research and obviously the amount of money you mentioned. So in terms of the team, so are you planning to kind of expand the team, or is any of those obviously the money you ask for, is anything include any expansion of the team, or just the PR and building that?
No, we will need to grow the team because excuse me, It's a lot of work for game developers, and that's a big issue for us because game developers are becoming more and more expensive and harder to find. They're all really busy, especially specialist ones in the AR space. So I spend a good part of my time now looking for more all the time, trying to recruit. It's a key, could be a key bottleneck for us. So yeah, recruitment is always thinking about that.
Okay, we've run out of time. So thank you, panelists. Thank you, Colin, Sam, and Magda, and especially thank you, Chris. Well done for
Thank you for your time. Thanks, guys.
Put your contact details in the chat as well. If people can gracefully leave by clicking the leave button, you'll return to the audience, and then we'll move on to the next pitch. And now we'll invite Sarah on. So Sarah, if you can click the blue button, Sarah from Collage, that should then I should then be able to get you onto the screen. So hopefully Sarah's there. Yeah, I can see you in the chat. So yeah, so if you can click the blue button, the share audio button, then we can get you on screen. So I'm just looking out for that. Chris is now having a big sip of water. Right. Sarah, are you there? Are you there? Either message in the chat if you're having tech issues, hopefully not, or the button is great. Perhaps click on the sessions on the left-hand side again and re-enter the room. And let's see if that works. Just try that. There we go. Yeah, I can see you now. So great. Okay, well done. A little panic there, I'm sure.
Yes, just a little one.
Don't worry, it's fine. So hi Sarah. Okay, so you're sharing your screen. So I'll give you a bit of time to make sure that you're happy with your setup. So remind people, if you hover over that screen, 3 dots appear on the right hand side, and if you click on that, you can click full screen, and then that will take over your whole screen. So Sarah, I shall get my stopwatch ready, and then depart and hand over to you. So I'll leave now. So when you're ready, you can start.
A few of you here will have experienced trying to school your children at home during the pandemic, trying to juggle home life, work and school. Well, that's what it's like for 24/7 for the mass number of home parents who elect to do this permanently. So imagine the stress last week when the government announced that they're going to do annual inspections for homeschoolers that require families to evidence their learning as suitable learning. I'm Sarah, founder of Collage app, homeschool mum and an ex-head teacher. So the idea for my app came to me when I was faced with my first annual meeting with the local authority. I was really nervous and I wanted to show them everything that we'd done. But going back through thousands of photos and bits of work was tricky and really time consuming. Our vision is to give children the best possible personal learning experience and to bridge the gap between home educators and the local authority. So even before COVID, numbers of homeschoolers had risen by 40% in 3 years. This year alone, councils have reported a 34% rise. So currently there are 55,000 who have registered to home educate in the UK. But as there's no statutory register, the number of homeschoolers is actually unknown and estimated between 77 and 170,000. Well, this is all due to change as the government are committed to implementing a statutory register and details will be out by the end of this year. Collage is a mobile-first platform which codifies learning, providing a quick and easy tech solution to track multiple learners' progress across the national curriculum and more. It also becomes a keepsake and a really great CV or portfolio to share with prospective employers or further education. So these are some quotes from 2 of my paying customers. Marie is from Norway and Claire is in the UK. Why now? Well, the government have been waiting for the outcome of a recent court case that got to the High Court, where a family were appealing against Portsmouth City Council, who were asking for more evidence that they were providing a suitable education. Well, they lost, and the government are now using this to add details to their plans to formalise home education. It's imminent, but we're ahead of the game. We could see the need, we could see the legislation coming, and we got on and created Collage. So as well as the UK market, there are 2.6 million worldwide, with the top 4 English speaking being Canada, Australia, South Africa, and the USA being the biggest. 20% of my customers are international and 80% are from the UK. Collage is a first to market, a bespoke platform that innovates hundreds of pages of curriculum to provide an instant uploadable trail of evidence. We've also taken the dangers of cyber safety and the parent-child privacy seriously by going through Cyber Essentials and protecting Collage with a figurative trademark. So I'm the sole founder, and I've been the sole founder whilst I've got the product through its beta phase, but I'm really looking now to broaden the team. I also have experience as a local authority advisor to schools, so I kind of know how the local authority works. Collage is a business to customer model using a monthly or annual subscription. It's officially been trading as a beta, but is now ready for its full launch. Initially focusing on the UK market, but moving into Canada in year 3 and hopefully by year 5 into the USA. There is another homeschooler who literally last weekend launched their beta app for homeschoolers, a plan and store app. They don't have the advantage of having the experience that I've got of the curriculum, the pupil progress and the tracking, but it proves that there is a need and the time is right now. There are more complex school apps. These could easily get into the market, although many homeschoolers are opposed to schools, and I know that this would be quite a huge turnoff. There are single subject apps, but they don't collate everything together in one seamless place. Since the government announcement last week, traction for Collage has doubled. In year 2, we're looking to capture 13% of the UK market, and in year 3, 24% of the UK and Canadian market. With a profit of 34,000 at the end of year 2 and 788,000 by the end of year 3. I'm looking for 50,000 to take Collage to profitability, and I plan to spend that equally between marketing, app development, and staff to build the team. So in summary, legislation is imminent, parents are worried and stressed, Collage can help them feel more confident and save time. It's the right time to act as a bridge between parents and the local authority. So let's get parents out there capturing, collecting, and reflecting, and making a difference to the outcomes for the next generation. Thank you for your time. It's over to questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. If you could unshare your close off your screen share, and then we'll invite the panelists back on as well. Right, so Sam is there. Thank you. Here comes Colin, and then if Magda, if you're there as well, just click on the blue button. Colin, should we start with you? I'll keep an eye out for Magda.
Yeah. Really interesting. You know, a great use of an opportunity. There's nothing like legislation and regulation to bring a product of value around. I mean, there's loads of questions really, but obviously it's very small. I think the biggest one for me is how do you see the partnerships with local authorities or governmental level going so that your app and the output from your app can be seen as an appropriate and viable documentation that they require? Because I suppose that's the key selling point.
Yeah, so I have been working with some local authorities to talk to them about the reporting process. And obviously being a home educating mum, I've actually been through that process. So I know what they're looking for. In the recent court case, basically the family had been using a reporting, not a system, but they'd handed in an email with a report. And that really was the outcome of the sort of court case, was that wasn't deemed enough. And actually what the app does, because it's capturing, photos and it's storing everything chronologically, what the government and the local authority are really looking for is the progress. And that's the sort of the grey area where homeschooling families aren't really aware of. So yeah, I think certainly from the research I've done and how the app has come together, it really does meet that need.
Yeah, I think more advisory than a question. I think it would be really interesting to take a kind of view that your next step could be being certified or suggested by local authority or government to say, you know, this is the appropriate way that we want to see reporting. So and then essentially that just, you know, blows your volume out of the water, really, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, it does, Colin. I'd be keen to have those conversations with them.
Thanks, Colin. Sam.
Really good presentation, Sarah, and yeah, again, covered a lot of space, a lot of content really quickly, so enjoyed that. There's a question I think Colin touched on there, but yeah, I think partnership with local authorities would be absolutely key to kind of driving usage of your platform. Other than that, what's your intention? How are you going to obtain customers? How are you going to approach that?
Yeah, so up until now, it's all been quite organic. I've tried a bit of marketing with a marketing consultant, and that wasn't very successful, mainly because I felt the marketing consultant didn't really fully understand the homeschool market. They're a real fragmented market, so quite hard to reach. And essentially, that's what I really want some of the money for, to create a really tight marketing strategy. And looking at the sort of the customer's journey and being able to really sort of highlight some important marketing bits there. Interestingly, with the traction, so I have got a small customer base already through the beta, but actually that's doubled, and I can now see people starting to talk about it, and you know, I can really see that will grow quite organically. But I'm really looking, actually, skipping on to the sort of staffing bit. For me, I would really like to build the team in terms of the sales and marketing, because that isn't my strength. I'm quite creative, and so I would really be looking for help with that, really.
It seems like the kind of thing where there would be communities and forums and kind of where groups of parents kind of talk about the issues and challenges, and that might be a nice place to sponsor or something like that. Yeah,
and there are, I've done some research, so there are a few home, like, governing bodies for home education, but they're not really governing bodies, but they do have advertising, so they would be a really great place to start. And then I'm on quite a lot of the forums, although they're quite tricky to go on as businesses. So I'm as a homeschool mum, and I'm trying to sort of drip feed in through that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Sam. Magda.
Sarah, really great presentation, really enjoyed, and you put so much info in such a short time. Just my question is, obviously, you had some successful and happy customers outside UK, and you're planning to, you mentioned that the next big market for you is US and Canada, and you kind of you're thinking about expanding this market in 3 years, and you have already sort of very similar apps popping up. So why would you wait until year 3? Why would you sort of try to expand the market much quicker and much sooner?
I think I would like to get into the UK market first, and to know kind of how it works, what homeschoolers, you know, how I can successfully get to homeschoolers. And I think the Canadian market would be very, very similar and very quick and easy to access. The US market will take quite a lot of research, because each of the states operate quite differently. So I think that I would need a bit more time. But again, depending how quickly it grew, and in terms of bringing the team on, I might be able to get there sooner. But just kind of initially, I felt like with the team and what I'm planning for this, that probably isn't enough to quickly get into the USA.
Thank you, Sarah. Sounds like a global franchise model there, potential. Right. No, well done. And thank you again for our panelists. So we can all gracefully leave and return to the audience. We'll invite our third founder up, Oliver of Carrier Pigeon. So Oliver, if you can click on the blue button, hopefully it's blue for you. If not, you might need to click on the sessions on the left-hand side and come back into it if you have the same issue as Sarah. I can see you in the building, as it were. So there we go. It's working well. Hi, Oliver. How you doing, right?
Hi, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you absolutely fine. So if you could just share your screen just so we can see your slides are there. We can make sure that's all working. Take your time, it's fine. We're doing well on time. That is all doable. So it's
okay.
Yeah, that's starting to appear. Yeah, we can see your first slide. And again, I'll just remind people, if you hover over the slide, the 3 dots appear on the right-hand side, and that's, you then click on those 3 dots and you can click on full screen, and that's the way you'll be able to see all the detail. So I'll leave now, and then when you're ready, you can start.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me, everybody. My name's Oliver Pyle-Santini, and I'm the founder and CEO of Carrier Pigeon. I'm looking to raise 100,000 to fix the problem that we currently have on the high street of blending offline and online retail. I would also like to try and integrate local startups, out-of-home businesses, and social enterprises into this solution. So our solution is to give high streets a living, engaged, and exciting platform to see local businesses grow upon and local people thrive. We have combined a smart in-house built delivery system with a cloud-based content management system to offer fast advert upload to our smart, eco-friendly street furniture, giving local people more than simply a selling platform, but a voice in their local community. Birthday cards, local sporting highlights, and public advice can all be posted via our smart system. Here are examples of some of our smart street furniture. Each screen located within the furniture is split into sectors, and each sector is a local business advert, much like you would get in the post office on your cork boards, but digitalized. Carrier Pigeon supports local businesses with interactive advertising tools such as touch screens, video, QR code-led adverts delivered through the screens, as well as our unique high street-based events. Think of it a little bit like an in-town LinkedIn combined with public events. The early stage business market is a good size and growing, even more so now than ever before in history. People are starting their dream businesses, but require an efficient means of communicating with their local and wider audiences. I know from starting my own record label the value of a local reputation and the importance of delivering on your promises. We have secured the planning permissions. We have secured good relationships with local councils across the southwest of England. We have a constant pipeline of startups and early stage businesses through our partners below. And Carrier Pigeon are blending offline and online with community. Carrier Pigeon is efficient, quick, and simple. We are creating a high street based fund to energize the local high street and create events to bring people back into the high street and augmenting, therefore, the value of the screens. We specialize in helping local sports teams, artists, and social enterprise, as well as content creators. So here is how it works. We operate on a minimum of 4 screen network per network. We charge £10 per week per advert, and this gives each advertiser 2 hours per day. The screens are split between 3 and 5 adverts per page, offering a capacity of around 6,500 adverts per year, with the capacity we estimate within a 4-screen network to be reached within 18 months. Capacity can be increased, of course, by councils purchasing more screens. We currently have 3 screen networks in operation. We've already built a great team who are helping us develop this wonderful community tool in Carrier Pigeon. We support local youth through T-level work placements and Kickstarters. We have international strength through our eco-smart street furniture construction team in Mubo and Solar Outdoor Media, and our well-placed partnerships in silvertree.co, as well as our software partners on Sign TV. Carrier Pigeon is firmly at the front of the queue for improving the high street and empowering local businesses and communities. I'd love to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Oliver. Right, let's get our panelists. We should know the drill by now. Clicking the blue button and we'll get them up on screen. Well done.
Thanks. But my pitch yesterday was like super long. It was like 20 minutes long. So I've just shortened it right down. So I may have been a bit quick.
4 minutes, 25 seconds, I think. So that's all right.
All right, not bad.
That's good. You said what you need to say, then that's all good. So, right, in the tried and tested tradition, we'll start with Colin while I keep an eye out for Magda.
There you go. I like being first, just in case others ask my questions. I mean, it's a really interesting prospect. It seems quite complex in terms of a model. It seems like you're involving, some B2C there, some community, some social enterprise, maybe a bit of council and local authority as well. I'm interested as to, you've got the model for the advertising. Who pays for the actual screens themselves there? Because you did mention councils purchasing.
Yeah, I suppose technically we all pay for them because councils pay for them.
Fine. But it is something, so what you're looking to do is, what does the council get back from the purchase of the screen? Because obviously at the moment you've got your clients, which are the startups and the enterprises wanting to advertise, and you're asking the local authorities to fund the infrastructure. What box are you ticking for them?
It's basically I could go into this for quite a long time, obviously, but to succinctly answer your question, bringing people back into the high street. So we're augmenting the retail offering, but also the wider offering by bringing in businesses that would normally reside entirely online.
Okay. And has that been, so far with the local authorities, has that been met positively? Yeah, they love the idea. It's quite a quick, clean, simple solution. They also, a bit of an answer to your previous question, they also get to use the screens for public notices. So they have their own means of communicating with Joe Public, you and me. Okay, excellent.
Thank you, Colin. Sam.
Thanks, Dan. Good presentation, Oliver. And it's great sitting behind Colin on these things because he asked my questions first. So well done. So I thought the presentation ended a little abruptly without understanding what the ask is. So it would be great to understand kind of where you are now, what you're asking for, and what you're going to do with it, just so you can bring to life that kind of future vision. I thought you did a great job of bringing to life where you are and the opportunity and things like that. It's kind of bringing to life the next steps. I wonder if you could do that now for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually got rid of that slide late last night because I thought, this is going to get really complicated. But to all intents and purposes, the 100,000 will facilitate us setting up a brand new network. So the 3 networks that I alluded to are only 4-screen networks each.
Yes.
However, we have planning permissions for Taunton in particular, which is Somerset's sort of capital, as you probably all know, for 20 screens. And our issue at the moment is that we have to go through a national tender because of the expense of those screens. So the 100,000 would go mainly towards the implementation of our planning so that we can put those screens in situ. The council will then pay that money back, which can then go into creating a new network, maybe up towards Bristol. Glastonbury have also shown interest, as well as Street. So
it sounds like it's...
Sorry.
So it sounds like it's working capital effectively then, because it's you're spending money you're going to get back from a council, but it's that kind of short-term cash requirement.
Yeah, it's taking the pressure off of them. They are a little bit, they've been given a lot of money towards the high streets, but are really worried about making an error here. So we're taking that level of risk away from that, from them there, and saying, look, we can do this as a commercial entity. We hold the planning permission. They gave me permission to go and get the permission. And so we did high streets surveys, etc., and proved the model was a viable and popular one within the community. So We hold all the cards there. So if a national tender went out, it becomes complicated. So they're a little bit worried about this. So I'm trying to take that element away by getting commercial funding.
I understand. Thanks for bringing that to life.
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Sam. Magda.
Hi, Sam. Hi, guys. Oliver, really good presentation. Like Sam mentioned, it's just to miss a little bit how you wanted to, obviously, what you need the money for and where they're going to go, kind of split overall. Just a question. Obviously, you planning to bring capacity of over 6,000, almost 7,000 adverts per year. You're also going to use those adverts for council to make different announcements. I guess the council is going to pay fee as well, or they are not charged.
I don't think we'll charge the council, just so that we can keep the good relationship going. But I don't believe that they're going to be using up an awful lot of space. And actually, we've limited the amount of time on the screens to 16 hours a day, so 8 slots. So there is capacity to go into nighttime economy, which we haven't even gone to yet. But I'd really like to, especially with the smart bench, which has night vision cameras on it. All of our smart street furniture have charging points and that sort of thing. So it lends itself perfectly towards a nighttime economy as well. But yeah, to split up some of the revenue, we actually earmark 40% of it to creating local events, sponsoring market stalls, car parking, that sort of thing, to drive traffic into the town centre on a weekly basis, so that the screens become more valuable. So we do actually earmark 40% of that revenue. But that calculation was done on 4 screens. And as I mentioned, we've got 20 screens going into Taunton. So that's about £500,000 worth of revenue a year, of which 40% then gets back into the high street.
Comprehensive answer. Thank you, Oliver. So on that note, we'll end there. Well done. We can all return to the audience, and we'll move on to our next pitch. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so next up we've got Jeff of Safe Space One. So I invite Jeff to click the blue button, the share audio button, and then you should pop up, and I can bring you onto the screen. Jeff, if you're out there, please click the blue button. If it's grey for you, perhaps click on the sessions on the left hand side, then come back into this room, and that seems to be working if there's a problem. So I'm just checking, making sure you're still there. You haven't got a tech issue. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, so hi, Jeff.
Hiya.
How you doing? All right. Yeah, good. Okay, so if you could I can hear you fine, we can see you fine, we can see your screen, that's all good. So again, a reminder to people, hover over the screen, the 3 buttons on the right hand side, you can take it full screen. So stopwatch at the ready. I won't start it yet, I'll just set that up. Brilliant. So I'll step away now, Jeff, and hand over to you.
Thank you. So hi, I'm Jeff Rubin. And I founded Safe Space One after my father died, leaving my mother alone, needing help as lockdown hit. But as a cybersecurity and online privacy expert, I was deeply concerned by the online delivery solutions I saw were being offered. And then when I looked across the market, I saw an enormous challenge and opportunity, because more people suffer severe mental health disorders and get no help than were infected with COVID last year. But the real issue is that the sector struggles with staffing as demand consistently exceeds supply, and we believe we need to make existing therapists more efficient, more effective, and fulfilled in order to avoid their burnout. Lockdown drove 10 years of teletherapy adoption last year, because before that, less than 10% had ever delivered online. They did not think it effective, but they've now found it is, and they're now open to broader adoption. So when I looked across the sector, I realized it was a problem and opportunity with global proportions. So I gathered the best I could find to address it. Our team is bound by a global vision to see a world of therapy without borders. We identified 4 ways we can give mental health professionals time efficiencies and treatment effectiveness online. First, simplify treatment setup to ensure consistent organizational delivery. Second, enhance the clinician's digital delivery experience so they just love it. Third, confidentially extract treatment information to reduce patient note-taking time by more than 30%. And fourth, make group sessions easier to deliver, enabling therapists to deliver to 24% more patients. Scaling a service delivery comes from designing a for-purpose group therapy delivery capacity. Online is less costly to deliver, easier to administer and organize, and empowers service providers to think nationally for patient support, which enables them to consider specialisms too. At the market level, the drivers are simpler. It's a race to differentiate through digitizing service delivery. They're in a build or buy phase, but you cannot outpace a market platform. And those looking at the NHS need to hurdle a new regulatory standard as well. Our journey starts with those who helped define the prototype. They love it and are as keen as mustard to try it. When we took it to the enterprises, they said our timing is perfect as they seek to scale their services. So the journey we're looking for your support on is to get us to the WHO by 2025 with our Therapy Without Borders concept, so we can help them solve the global mental health epidemic. While we differentiate by being focused on online therapy delivery, we do see a lot of competition. General purpose video platforms are used a lot. More confidentiality concerned users select one-to-one medical consultation platform. But none support multiple linked sessions to provide a single space for all online patient delivery needs. We use a SaaS model based on therapist seats for our business model. We can double dip on some seats because so many in-demand therapists work for themselves and enterprises. We already see multiple future additional revenue streams and adjacent target markets too. Our current market engagement shows a clear pathway to convert an initial 24 prospects into MVP users. And the UK TAM, built from 253,000 user seats across 230 enterprises, is £152 million a year as a SaaS. This gives us a global TAM of 1.43 billion for from more than 2 million mental health professionals. Our ask is an SEIS or EIS supported 330,000 to get us from prototype to MVP with regulatory compliance and revenue traction, and with a clear runway to seed investment. We have an exceedingly strong team with over 100 years of cybersecurity, privacy, tech, product, and market experience. We've already attracted a strong advisory team, and we've been mentored by some of the best in the sector. The sector is hot with strong multiples. Private equity and VCs are investing to scale national service providers internationally. The key to unlocking that pathway is owning the therapist's hearts through a platform that knows no borders. So we are a purpose-built platform for the effective delivery of digital mental health services. And our value is that we manage the digital duty of care to scale therapy without borders. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Well done. That's great. Right, we shall invite the panelists up so we can dive straight into the questions. I love the variety we're having today, but there seems to be an underlying theme about doing good in the world. That it's real purpose and positivity around all the different pitches and it's really exciting to see that. So, Colin, almost should mix it up. Sam, let's put you in the hot seat.
Well, this is awkward because Jeff, that was a really, really polished presentation. I think you ticked all of the boxes. Given the fact you only had 5 minutes, I think you addressed all of the points that I would look for in a presentation. I guess the thing that jumps to mind in your pitch and Sarah's are the kind of security concerns around the users and confidentiality and NHS using. I've done some work with government and NHS specifically, and the bureaucracy and the paranoia around security, quite rightly, is challenging often. Can you bring to life how you're going to address those kind of regulatory, security, compliance type things?
Yeah, it's actually kind of where I started, because I understand the market very, very well, and people don't realize platforms like Teams are not end-to-end encrypted, for example. Zoom is claiming it's going to get there, but it's not there yet.
Yeah.
And they just got fined what it was 85 million for sharing their user information with Facebook and people like that. And this is an environment and a world where the confidentiality of even the fact that you're engaging with a mental health professional itself is confidential, not just the content, but the fact that you're engaging. And that's so one of the things that we did, or I did, when I started, was we built a digital trust model to figure out how to build a platform that ensures, or does what it can in the internet world, to ensure that what's called the alliance building between the patient and the therapist is supported by a digital model that they can trust. And that's a really interesting challenge, because you have to look at more than just security. You have to look at more than just privacy. You have to look beyond that to confidentiality, and you have to look beyond that into the ethics of the duty of care. And in fact, our trust model that we built actually goes right the way to that level, to say we thought it through to match the digital requirement to the clinician's objective for the duty of care.
Okay, yeah, thanks. That's a really good answer.
Thank you, Jeff. Colin?
I mean, I have to say, I've seen your pitch before, and I think it's a vast improvement. It's great to see that kind of evolution and polish coming through. Really, really impressed. I suppose, as with some of the other ones as well, and I don't think it's about granular detail, but I suppose it's, what do you see that 330 being spent on? I mean, you talked about bringing MVP. I mean, are you talking, is it salaries? Is it development? Is it platform? What do you feel is needed to be able to get you to that next stage?
So essentially, there's a couple of sort of hurdles to go. Yes, part of it is the engineering that needs to be done. So we need 2 more app developers and a SysOps guy for the cloud infrastructure side to really, because this is an environment where once you're engaged, the platform has to be rock solid and stable. This has to be, it has to enter the market as if it was Zoom day one, right? You can't come in with something that you play with, because these are people's lives that you're dealing with. So you've got to come in with a very high degree of professionalism in the product delivery. So there's a bit of a component there. Then there's this new DTAC standard, and looking into that, there's a number of costs that come into there, some of which we would have wanted to undertake anyway, but there's some new ones, like there's a clinical safety officer requirement for a clinical safety assessment of the platform. There's a cost to getting the assessment done, which requires real-world interactions, and there's a cost to sustaining that as well, because you have to have a clinical safety officer on board. And then there's the marketing component. And on the marketing component, the good news is we've attracted the interest of a very interesting organization called the Online Therapy Institute. Last year, they during lockdown, they did something quite innovative. They had a 100-hour cyber therapist course, which they were selling. And they weren't getting much traction. As I said, basically less than 10% of therapists were going online anyway. Suddenly, 95% were online. But what they did was they said, look, we need to do some good for the world. So they opened that up into a 6-hour course, a sort of self-administered course. And they built up a list of 20,000 therapists who are now specifically want to be trained for cyber therapy. And they're giving, we're working with them on a business relationship that ensures that we can get a very incredibly well-targeted launch pad for getting to market.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Magda, King Recruit.
Hi, Jeff. Really great pitch, really strong pitch, and you cover everything. And to be honest, although Colin came second with the questions, he beat me to it. So thank you very much for really comprehensive explanation. So I have no question. It's really good presentation.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you have any competitors out there doing the same thing, or from a similar angle?
As I said in the pitch, there's a lot of people providing video conferencing platforms. Some are doing a good job on the end-to-end security. In the medical space, or that sector, the healthcare market, we do see a lot of one-to-one platforms. And the reason they do one-to-one is because peer-to-peer end-to-end encryption is pretty easy to do. Doing it across a group of people is really difficult. So right now, pretty much every NHS is using something like Attend Anywhere for one-to-one, and then they switch to Teams because they literally have nothing they can turn to. And so the opportunity for us to go say, look, here's one platform that goes across the spectrum. And to sort of give you an idea of this, when we've presented to NHS service providers, they've basically competed to ask us to be exclusive with them for the first 6 to 12 months and exclude the other NHS service providers, because they're all on this race to digitize the route to market. Group and psychotherapy, they've suddenly realized in the online world, that you can get lots of people on relatively easily, as opposed to a bunch of people into a room on a localized basis with the same condition at the same time, with all the costs associated with that. So they're suddenly expanding this area, but they don't really have anything that gives them the tools to do that. The other thing that's really important is that it's not a video call. It's a treatment plan. And these are connected activities that sustain 24/7. And nobody's really sort of recognized that very simple case, that actually what you need is a single environment that supports the treatment from the day it starts to the day it ends, with a build-up of material, an accessible library of capacity, all of it end-to-end encrypted, etc., etc. So nobody's actually doing that particular bit because it's an innovation, I guess, because nobody's realized they needed to do that bit.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jeff. Very knowledgeable answers on all the questions. Okay, so panel, stay there. Jeff, if you could return to the audience. I'm just going to invite Tracy up as well. Tracy from Activate. If you're there and able to click on the blue button, I'm just going to do a quick kind of summing up, really, I think, in terms of what we've seen today, what we've heard today, and I guess, well, Tracy and Sam, the FounderCatalyst, Colin, the SETsquared Exeter, and Magda King, you've seen this journey that these guys and girls have been on. But hi, Tracy.
Hi.
You've been in the audience. I think it'd be really good just to get a view from you, really, in terms of what you've seen today and reflecting on the journey. Obviously, it's an ongoing journey, but of our founders.
I've been incredibly impressed. I think one of the panelists said earlier that they'd seen a presentation. I think it was you, Colin. They'd seen a presentation before, and it had made huge improvements. I mean, we've been watching these wonderful founders over the last 6 weeks, and the progress is just phenomenal. They're telling really well articulated stories. They're giving very clear indications of what they're going to do, how they're going to make a difference in the world. So yeah, well done, everybody.
And what about the advice to the next steps then? Because this is about momentum, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, don't treat this as the pinnacle. What we really want you to do is take the feedback that you've got today, really build it into the pitch, keep preparing, because you're going to do a lot more pitches. Everybody raising funding is, as we say in the program, you're going to kiss a lot of frogs. So keep looking for those frogs, prepare to meet them. If necessary, tweak your presentation, your pitches a little bit to, show that you've understood what the investor is all about and what they're interested in. Think about the questions they might ask. And one of the things which some of the pitches did really, really well, but not all of them, is come back to the story at the end and the next steps and a call to action, a clear call to action. Sarah's was very good in terms of, join us to help, all the children get the education they need and move forward. So she had a really good call to action at the end, and Jeff too. So that was really great. Keep working on it, keep refining it, and practice. Even if you have to stand in front of the mirror or your partner or, in front of your kids, and they'll go, Mom, Dad, stop doing this. But, just practice, practice, practice. Yeah. And always, always be early to meetings to check your tech, because it's going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong when you least expect it. So be prepared, keep going, but get there early so you can check it. But huge congratulations to everybody.
Thank you, Tracy. And then just opening up to our panelists. Any final thoughts or reflections, Colin?
I think there's something that wasn't really in any pitch. And I'm going to say, I think Tracy's absolutely right. when you start making your pitches for investment, you can very much be hung up on trying to prove that your platform or your product is a solution that they can buy into and that has some kind of financial benefit for them. Investors want to know that your market is confident about your product too. And one thing that I didn't see was evidencing the cost benefit, the boring bits, for the people you're going to do it for, not your investor. Because that gives them confidence that not only are they buying into a potential solution to a problem, that solution is seen by the users as a potential solution as well. And the boring thing about working with, and nearly everyone on this call is working with larger organizations, or at least organizations that need to evidence that cost benefit, is that it will be asked of you by those users. The local authorities will want to see, well, how many people do I not have to send out to homeschoolers? And what's that going to mean to my bottom line? The NHS are going to say, well, how many additional people? Okay, what does that actually amount to in terms of a cost saving? And if you can evidence that, then the investor starts to build confidence that not only have you got a good product, that the people you're selling it to also think that too.
Thank you.
Completely agree with Colin there. And if you can actually show what the customers think in their own words, whether it's maybe even a little video, whether it's quotes, whatever it is, that is incredibly powerful.
Thank you. Dan, the final reflection.
Thanks, Dan. So I think Tracy raised it earlier, but it's worth reiterating because it's so important that over preparation for meetings is absolutely vital. Because if your pitch goes well, within the same meeting, you could be asked for a bunch of follow-up information. So as well as having a shiny pitch deck and answers to the obvious questions people who ask, if I were a founder, I would make sure all of my other ducks are in a row. So, you've got potentially a term sheet ready, you've got your advance assurance in place, you've got a forecast model you can share, and you can go to that next level of detail, because once you get somebody interested or on the hook, then you want to be able to pursue that rather than say, oh, actually, we haven't, so many times I see pitches and people go, oh, we haven't got, the next level of detail prepared. So absolutely, getting the pitch nailed is absolutely perfect, but make sure you can do the next step immediately as well. Because you quite often, some investors, will have short attention spans and we'll see something else, see another squirrel over there and chase that rather than give you the opportunity to go back. So,
thank you. And finally, Magda, can you recruit some reflections on today, I suppose, and what you've seen, or any thoughts or observations?
I think the only question that we kind of was popping up on, apart from I think Sarah's presentation, was the same one. We knew exactly how much money we want to raise, but we just we weren't clear how they're going to be distributed, what to be spent on, and we were asking the same questions coming up. I think the Sarah had a clear presentation, 33.3% on each kind of where, but kind of having this a little bit detailed, the plan of how you're going to spend the money exactly will be definitely quite beneficial.
And a 5-minute pitch is really hard, isn't it? But it's having that core piece and then being ready to kind of have all the answers for the questions and everything else. So they're fantastic. Thanks everyone, and thank you to our partners, Sam from FounderCatalyst, Colin from SETsquared Exeter, Magda from King Recruit, and of course Tracy from Activate. The final 15 minutes for those able to hang around. There is a kind of, I think, back in the welcome room. So we can click on the sessions there on the left. The welcome room. Anyone who's around, we can just get onto screen and just have conversations and chat and reflect, and we can. I think the other room is just finishing off as well. On the left, there is a networking tab as well. I'm not sure if that's open, but that's when you do that, you can if people are in there, you have one-to-one conversations with people. So if that's live, you can try. So they're the two kind of final areas now that will keep open through to 12 o'clock. Thanks for everyone who's been part of this and who's been in the chat as well, and to the positive comments and supporting each other. So my advice would be click on the sessions and head to the welcome room, or be nosy and check what's going on in the other room first and see if they finished. And obviously our room was the best, of course. Not that I'm competitive about that. But yeah, so the welcome area, we can just jump on screen and final reflections and talk to the founders. Now they're all relaxed and let their guard down, or you can try the networking, and if that works, then that connects you for one-to-one kind of timed 3-minute conversations. So thanks again to our TechSFS Startup Studio partners who've been involved in this room. Thank you so much, SETsquared Exeter, King Recruit, FounderCatalyst, and Activate. And we'll see you in the welcome room, or maybe see some of you in the networking area for these final 15 minutes. Thanks, everyone.